Do you need some clean and simple card designs? Try repeat patterns for a fun, modern, clean and simple look. Welcome to another Color Connection with Amber video where I use the color palette from the Altenew Inspiration Challenge to inspire my cards. I thought the repeat pattern of these umbrellas in this month's inspiration photo was so fun. That's what really inspired and kicked off my card making for today. Our first repeat pattern is going to be created with Circle Sentiments stamp set, and I've pulled out Limeade, Coral Bliss, and Sea Glass to represent our color palette. I have used this set many times, but I haven't used all of the stamp sets yet, so I'll just condition a couple of them with the Stamp Conditioning Eraser set. And I'm going to pick out several of these so I can stamp a bunch of different sentiments. This is a really fun set and it lends itself to a card design like this very easily. So I picked out 3 or 4 to start with, but I will add more of the stamps as we move through this design. While it's not necessary to have a MISTI or a stamp positioner, I do find it to be easier with this type of stamp where the negative space creates the sentiment, because sometimes they need to be stamped more than once, especially because I'm using lighter ink. So the inks that I chose, 2 of them are the lightest color in the 4 family set. So I want to make sure that I get a good impression so that the negative space of the sentiment shows up and is legible in white. So I'll speed through the stamping of these. Once you get to the bottom, I think the pattern looks best if you have the circle hang off the top and the bottom. I wish I had scooched up the ones on the top just a little bit. So you may want to do that if you recreate this card. Here's the finished panel with the stamping, and it's looking a little bare over on the edge, so I decided to add a die cut. And if you look back at the photo inspiration, there were some trees over on that left-hand side. So I'm using the Hanging Garden die set along with the Stencils black and white paper pack just to add a little more interest to the die cut. And I'll go ahead and glue that down. Now I spread out those 2 leaves so that I wanted to make sure it didn't cover either one of those sentiments so that they could be read easily. I love the high contrast that this element provides, but because the leaves are open, it doesn't overwhelm the rest of the card, and it keeps the design clean and simple because you retained so much white space. I wanted to tie the die cut in with the circled sentiments, and so I'm adding a few enamel dots which will mimic and kind of repeat that circular pattern, and I'll cluster them around the leaves so that it feels a little more connected to the circles that we have over on the right. And here's the finished card. I love how this turned out, and I think it's such a fun design. For the next card, I'll be using the leaf drop stencil. So this time I'll create the repeating pattern with a stencil instead of stamps. And you need to just take a look through your stash and take a look at all of the repeating patterns that you have. Stencils are obviously great for this because usually they are a repeating pattern on the stencils. And I've also pulled out my detail blending brushes because the last thing that I want to do is have to mask each one of these little leaf drops. So I want to alternate the colors like I did with the stamping, and I don't want to have to mask these leaves. So the detail blending brushes are perfect for this. So I have 2 sets of them, which is perfect because then you can have 1 color of ink for each one of your brushes. There's 3 brushes in each set. And I've pulled out 3 of them, and I'll start and I'll do all of the blue, then all of the pink, and then all of the green. I just feel like it's more efficient that way than switching back and forth. I think there's also less chance to make an error if you stick with 1 color at a time. So again, the great thing about these brushes is that I didn't have to mask from 1 color to the next. That would have been really time intensive to do that. So this is fantastic. Gently pull off your washi tape, and then be careful when you're removing the stencil because remember there's going to be ink on top of the stencil from the blending brushes, and you want to make sure that you don't transfer that to your project by picking it up with your fingers and then smearing it on to your cardstock. So just be mindful of where you're putting your fingers when you peel back your stencil. So here is the finished pattern, which I love. It has a really nice soft blended look with the brushes. And I decided to keep it, again, clean and simple with just a single sentiment and no other embellishments. I'm stamping Happy Birthday, which is from the Label Love stamp set, which is another one of my favorites. And It's been a hot minute, you guys, since I haven't added black splatter to any of the cards, but I find when I have clean and simple cards, it's better not to have the splatter. So here are the 2 finished cards. I hope that you guys enjoyed these projects today. I am totally in love with this color palette, and I hope you feel inspired to create some pretty things. I'll have a link to the inspiration challenge down below, so be sure to like, subscribe, and check out the inspiration challenge. Thanks so much for joining me, and I'll see you soon with more inspiration.
Hello crafters, I hope you enjoyed that video. If you want to see more, don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the notification bell so you don't miss anything. Thanks for watching!